I'd like to ask you, Chad Griffiths, what is the biggest risk?
Right now, as I see it, the biggest risk is that we are forced into another shutdown or lockdown in the market. And I hope that that doesn't happen. I think everybody has fatigue from this past 2 years that we've been going through this, and I think everybody wants to get back to business. But I think from the standpoint that if the medical community starts making more issues of this, and if some faction of the public starts pushing for more measures, then I can see that happening, unfortunately. Uh, if it is for good cause, if that is the best course of action and people agree on it, then it is what it is. I'm not going to argue it. I'm not going to be that guy with a pitchfork out there saying we can't shut down. I really hope that we don't. And if we do, I'm concerned that how long this is going for, it's just going to lead to a whole set of problems. And that isn't just the immediate ones of some businesses not being able to be open and the corresponding pressures of revenue and their continuing expenses, but even just what happens with the government's reaction to another shutdown. Because I think that that would mean more stimulus, more spending, more money printing, and considering everything that we've had to go through in the last 2 years, I'm concerned that all this spending is just going to lead to some sort of inflation. And even though the feds are saying it's transitory and we should be able to get a handle on this, I'm still concerned that this is more than just a short-term transitory problem. And I like really the only, or the I shouldn't say the only, but the biggest uh, uh, ammo that the feds have to fight inflation is just increase in interest rates. So I think that that's coming. I think we're going to see inflation in the near term, or continued inflation in the near term. I think we're going to see upward pressure on interest rates. And this is just status quo. Like, this is if nothing else changes in what we're dealing with right now. And like, interest rate increases is not good for real estate, because it's now costing that much more to borrow. That's I think that this happens anyways. But if we have to do another round of shutdowns and lockdowns, and the government prints more money and adds more to it, then I think that just adds another level to inflation, and that trickles down to interest rates. So that's probably the biggest risk that I see right now. But I mean, you mentioned it as well. Like, there's so many areas where we could be terrified of. We could be the geopolitical risk, economic risk. It's endless. And I guess the only solace that I take in myself is that in the 16 years that I've been in this business, there's always been risk. Every you could open a newspaper at any day over the last 16 years, and there would have been the media trying to sell us fear about what's all these bad things going on. And I think that that's a reality that we have to deal with, is that there's always going to be that risk on the one side. But that's what makes a market. It makes a market that there's going to be people that look at that risk and say, okay, now we're sellers. And then there's people like me who are more optimistic, and I'm not ignoring, but maybe suppressing that risk and mentally, who are saying, well, now it's time to buy. Like, I see a lot of reasons to be optimistic on this. So I think that's what actually makes a market, is that you've got people that are fearful and you got people that are optimistic. And that does, the fearful part does weigh on me. I am cognizant of that, but I still balance that by just thinking that over long term, there's going to be blips on the radar. There are going to be things that manifest, like we saw this last 2 years. There are going to be issues that we have to deal with, but over the long term, U.S. and Canada have shown an amazing ability to keep trending upwards. So I'm still optimistic long term, but that to answer your question, that the interest rates being the ultimate outcome, I can see interest rates going up at some point in the future.